Hello friends, welcome back to the Nodered tutorial series of working with PLC. So till now we have learned how we can read the data from the PLC IO and then send it to the cloud and different databases all through the backend. But in this particular tutorial we will learn how to monitor and control the IO using Nodered dashboard feature, where we will create some of the UI component to control and monitor, and also how we can change the color, label, enable disable using interlocks dynamically for all those components, and create multiple tabs, group, plot the data in the chart. So let's get this started. So in order to start, first we need to install the Node-RED dashboard palette. So for that we will go to the Node-RED palette manager and search for the library with name called dashboard. So when we will type the dashboard into the search bar, we will get lot of library, but we will go for the Node-RED dashboard. Okay, so Node-RED dashboard, if you see, we will have, and then we can install it. So I have already installed this particular library, and when we click on the arrow key, it will take us to the link where we can find all the details of this particular library, how we can use it. Now once it is installed, then when we will go into our component blocks, then we can find all the items which are there in the dashboard. So here we will utilize the different components. So I'm utilizing the button. So what we need to do is we need to first create a group. So group is something under which this particular component will be formed, and then we will create a tab. So tab is something which in which the whole component will get loaded. So we can create multiple tabs, so that anyhow I will show you further. So these are the two three main components, two three main features which we need to put, and then we can utilize the different property. One is the label. So label, I'm giving name, so this we can set, and then how we can uh, value what we need to publish. So for on, I'm putting the value as true, and same thing I will copy and paste, and then I will make it to false for off. So these are the two buttons which is created. Now we will connect it to the digital output, which is the DO card, and it will generate the output for on the DO card, which will be getting energized for the LED. Okay, so now we will copy the link, and after at the last we will put the forward slash and UI. So with the UI we will go to the UI page. So initially, if you see, we will not have any of the UI on this particular page. So it will say that welcome to the Node-RED. And then when we click on the deploy, as we have inserted the component, two buttons in a group called home, then we can see that under the group home, we have the on and off under the tab called digital output one, whatever the name we had given. So in this way, we have the component into the dashboard. So using this dashboard, we can control the digital output of the PLC card. So if you can see, when you're clicking on, the LED is getting on, and off, then LED is getting off. So the next part which I'm going to talk here about, this another component, which is switch. So switch, in a similar way, it will work and get toggled between on and off. So we will create again the same name, group, and tab. So if you see here, right now I'm giving a name called switch, and then I'm creating another tab. So how exactly this tab will work? When we create another tab, then we will get a second page. So uh, we can toggle from go from one page to another to operate. So multiple pages when we want, then we can utilize to have a different kind of tab with a different name. Okay. So rest all the things we will configure. So label we will give as a switch, and then we configure the payload. So payload, if you see, it will toggle between true and false. Okay. So once we have connected and we have deployed, then let's go to the dashboard. And in the dashboard, if you see, we will get a hamburger menu where we will click, and we can go to the another page. So if you see, now we have the DO2, which was the group name given, and here we have the switch. Now we can toggle the switch on and off also. Okay, so let me bring back again the IO, and when we are switching it on, then LED is getting on, and off, then LED is getting off. So in this way, we can utilize the dashboard for the different components. But right now what we are seeing is that whenever we are giving the command, we are not receiving any feedback and the color remains same. So how we can toggle these things dynamically, and how we can update the different color patterns on when we click on, off. So all those things, how we can do. Okay, so for any of the component, when we click on that particular component, we will see a help menu. Okay, so in the help menu, if you see, it has given that how we can configure these properties to get dynamically updated. So like uh, under curly braces, we have the topic, the background, and the double curly braces. So these things, when we put into this particular property, we can utilize them to update it dynamically using program. So right now I'm putting it for the background. So I'm giving here the name, same name as a background under two curly braces. And for that, what we need to do is we need to write a function. So what I will do, I will create a function, and using the function, I will update the different properties dynamically. And we will first connect from the button on to the function so that its message topic get passed, the payload will be received here. And based on the payload conditions, I'm writing here logic like if message dot payload is equal to true, because for the on we have true, so is equal to true, then in that case what we need to do is we need to update the background color. So msg message dot background, whatever the name we had given there, background equal to, so it will accept any of the css color name, so that's we need to provide that into double quotes. So right now I'm giving as a background equal to red. Okay, and then we will return the message, else the color will, I will say that the color will remain gray. So let me put the name, so message dot background, and we will define a different color here. Okay, so it will be the gray. So this is done, and then what we need to do is we will also connect it back, because we need to give that feedback back to the button, correct? So we need to connect it back into uh, the same button, and then we will deploy. Okay, now when we go to the dashboard again and try to operate, so if you see here, when I'm clicking on, so yeah, so when I click on, the color get changed. Okay, because the feedback I'm getting from the function block as a red for the background color. But for when I'm clicking on off, nothing is changing, correct? Because we have not connected the off button. So in a similar manner, we have to connect the off button also to the function, and in the function we need to update. The code is already there, so we will deploy it, and then we can see. So when I'm clicking on the off, then the color will change to the gray, because there the query which we, the function which we have written is on true, it will be red, and on false, else it will be gray. Okay, so when I'm clicking on the false off, then it will become, the on is becoming gray, but nothing changing on the off button. So similar manner, we have to define for the off button also the property. So the name, it is not like we have to give the same name, because if we give the same name, it will always take uh, the same behavior for all the things. So what we can do is we can define a different name. So name can be customized. That is what I wanted to show here, is name can be customized. So as per our requirement, we can give the different names so that we can update the properties of only that particular component. And in the function, we can update with the same name. So like message dot background one equal to uh, gray, because on true, when on become red, it should be gray, and on the false, when on button become gray, then the off button should become red, so that it will differentiate. We will be able to differentiate it at what stage we are. So color and all those things you can choose as your own. This is just for an example. I'm giving the different color. So let's deploy, connect it back and deploy it. And with this, when we are doing and toggling the buttons on the dashboard, we will be able to see the different behavior. So let me bring the dashboard again. And now when I click on and off, then the different color will get appearing. Okay, so let me bring also the IO card. So the PLC operation we can also check. So when I'm giving on, the LED becoming on and the color is also changing. So in this way, we can utilize the feature of the property to change the different color pattern on the buttons. Okay, and it gives a visual that which operation is right now in progress. So another thing which we can utilize is to update the different labels and also show the text part. So for that we have a text property where we can pass the different text, and we can write those things also dynamically. Okay, so label, instead of giving a constant value, same way we can provide in the under double curly braces, give the name. So I'm giving here name as label text. So a unique name for each component we will be giving. And then inside the function, what we can do is we can write some code to update the label text. So like if my payload is true, then message.label text equal to button state. So what is the state of the button at that particular time, whether it's true, whether it is false, on, off, whatever we want to show, that we will give here the details. So I'm giving the label text should be button state, and same thing I will give it in the false condition also. So right now I'm giving the same, but yeah, we can define a different label text also. And once it is done, then we will deploy the code, and then we can see in the dashboard that this particular text right now will get updated, because we have not changed any group, or we have not even changed the tab also, correct? So it will going in the default one. So let me again bring the dashboard. So now if you see when I click on any of the button, so right now nothing you are seeing because there is no property. So button is state equal to true. So the payload is getting updated by the value which is passing for the function. So on true, off false. So that is what we are passing, correct? So and the button state remains constant. So that is the text which we are passing. So with that also we are actually changing dynamically. So on off we can give a different name also. Now how we can set the size of the buttons. So if you see here right now it was auto, so that I have configured it for 3x1, so it will take the three boxes. And also I've given a tooltip, so tooltip also we can give. This is one of the property. So same thing I'm going to give it here, three boxes, and then the tooltip press to off. So in this way, we can utilize different properties of this particular component. So these are the common features or the common property which will remain in most of the component for the UI element. And if you see, it get auto aligned. So as the sizes got reduced, so in the same uh, row, both the buttons has came. And when we are hovering the mouse over those buttons, we are seeing the tooltip, and we can operate as we want. Okay. So now the another feature which I will be showing you is how we can enable and disable these buttons based on some of the conditions. So like if you have seen mostly when we have the interlocks, we do not allow the button to operate until the interlock is getting disabled. So all the interlock has to be cleared, and then we will be able to make the buttons on and off. So that is what the situation I'm trying to put it here. So I'm creating inject node, so which I will be injecting the interlock conditions. So one is for enable and another is for disable. So that's what the nodes I'm putting it here. So one inject node is for enable, and I'm putting here the name as interlock enable. And same thing we will do it for disable also. So so let me copy and paste, and then only just change the name. First connect it to the function because it has to go into the function, and then we will change the name to disable, and also the payload we will put as a disabled. Okay, so now once we have done this particular thing, then after that we will go into the function, and in the function we will define the logic. Okay, so right now if you see, we have the if and else. Okay, so if you are putting this only, then what will happen is that if it is true and false, it will remain in that, and it will not get the interlock operated. So what I'm putting it here is the else if condition, so that it should check for all the different condition and execute the logic whether it will get true, or whether it will get satisfied the conditions. Okay, so I'm just putting it again for the disable part. So what it should do is it should make it false, and if the payload is disabled, and this is what the logic it will be. And then once we click on the done and deploy the code, so once the code is deployed, then we can see by enabling and disabling the interlock. Okay, so let me show you by enabling and disabling the interlock condition. So when we inject the enabled, it will remain in the enabled state. Okay, but if you see, when we inject the disabled, the buttons got into disable mode, and the button state is in disabled, which means the interlock is right now there, and we cannot operate any of this button. Even if we click, it will not get operated. So in this way we can enable and disable the buttons also. So now let's see how we can utilize the dashboard for the analog signals. So we will first configure it for the analog output. So for the analog output, we will be putting the set points in a numeric form and also in a text input. So these are the two properties or the two components which we can utilize. We will configure the levels for the both, and then we will connect it to the analog output channel. Okay, so for the both we have given, we have to configure the ranges, the max what we need to pass, and for the analog input we will utilize chart and the gauge, so where we will be reading the value coming from the analog input card. Okay, so once we have configured them, and when we deploy it, the same will get appeared on the dashboard. So we can see here we have the analog out, we have the AO, we have the gauge, we have the chart. So whatever the value we will be pushing or putting into the analog output set point or the text input field, accordingly the input is getting generated. So the input which we are reading is actually loop back from the analog output to analog input in the card. If you see, we have the wire connected from analog input to analog output, and then whenever we are changing the value, we can see the change in the analog output, and same thing we are able to reflect in the gauge and in the chart in form of the analog input. So in this particular way, means we can be able to configure the analog input or analog output also, where we can play with the set point, we can put the steps number, we can define the max range. So all those things, basically the basic part, we can be able to do it using this particular components. Now if you want to move this into another uh, group, or we can create another group where we can put all this into different form. So how we can rearrange the same layout or same dashboard in a different format. So for that we will be creating the group, and we will be assigning that into the different groups. So once we have done that particular things, we can see that they get auto arranged, and it will be showing in a good manner. So this is how we can be able to achieve the Node dashboard utilizing the different components. So this is just the basic, means we can do a lot of things using dashboard, but for now this is what we have. Thanks for watching. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.